Hi, I'm Nigel the Shanghai Psychic. I can tune into your loved ones in the spirit world, but I can also tune into you, tell you about your path and the choices that you need to make and need to know. I'm currently giving 30% discount on all Tell Craig Your Story listeners. Just use the code Tell Craig Your Story for 30% off your first psychic reading with me online at Nigel the Shanghai Psychic.
Hi Wynn, how you doing this afternoon?
Hi Greg, I'm doing good. I had some coffee and had a really good conversation with you.
And you're the first person in my new studio.
Yeah, nice studio and nice location. It's really convenient, and I like this apartment.
Oh, thank you. And I saw you last night.
Mm-hmm.
You come and watch the band play.
Yeah, Jen's Curfew.
Be gentle.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I always like their music and their vibe on stage. And last night it was Jen's, comeback.
Yes.
She just came there from the airport straight up. So
I've been jamming ever since she went back. So we would jam, we would record it.
Yeah.
And then send it to her.
Ooh.
So there was 2 new songs that we played last night, and we've never played with her.
Oh, really?
So for her to come up on stage and just go bam. And we had Daniel playing guitar for the first time.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually seen you guys rehearse once, and it was pretty fun. Yeah. And Jen was on a video call.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And did you practice there? What were you doing?
I was actually I had a class with Baldwin about the saxophone. Yeah, but you guys had a practice rehearsal, so I just went there for fun.
You're learning saxophone?
Yeah, learning a little bit. I'm just getting started, so I'm still at the phase where different noises.
Is that a difficult instrument to learn?
Yeah, it's actually kind of hard, and it takes time to show your progress. And the thing is that it practice a lot of it needs a lot of muscles on your face and how you breathe,
breathing techniques.
Out. Yeah. So yeah, and it's kind of heavy. But overall, it's a romantic voice, romantic sound, romantic instrument. I love it.
Yeah. And Baldwin's one of the good ones too.
And he's the nicest.
It's like, Baldwin, do a solo on this bit. Okay. So he just gets up there and does it. It's great. So I've also seen you sing as well with Raydio. Tell us about your path in the music.
Okay, this is a kind of old story. When I was really young, when I was a toddler, and my mom and my dad, my family runs business. And so sometimes we just get started and they were too busy and they don't have time to look after me. So they just put me in front of the TV. And I started crying, and they would turn on a music video, just one song, and replay all this entire time. I would just sit there and listening to the songs and watch the music video for 3 hours straight. And after my mom told me that story, I feel that's how that's when I showed the first time I really like music, I'm really into this. So how I get to started singing in Shanghai is that I came to Shanghai last year, but I just started singing within this recent 3 months. Yeah, I like music, so I will always go to the live places, music places, and I get to know like you guys, everybody, and I would go to gym. But I never really thought about I probably would sing here in Shanghai. But one random time, I was jamming, and my friend Ika, and she's just said, "Oh, why don't you just go sing? Like, make like do something about this." I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" Right? So yeah, I just started to like hook up with different friends because everybody knows that I sing, but I'm never really do this as a career or anything. So just everybody's so nice around me and just introduced me to different places and different venues, and just that's how I started it.
What style are you playing? Because like I said, I've only seen you once, and you were playing like a pop style, very light. So what are you sort of singing? You also said R&B.
Recently, I sing like pop songs more, just like what you heard, and indie pop and jazz. I mean, I'm not saying I can like sing jazz like really, really properly, because jazz is really like deep session genre, I would say. But yeah, these are the main genre that I'm singing recently, but I'm still discovering different genres and trying to do more experimental stuff. Let's see, probably EDM, like different and
doing some recordings.
Not actually, sometimes I would do some demo for now, but I never really released anything yet. But yeah, still like doing some inspirations and doing some like little like clips and collect them first and put them together.
Right. And what do you think of the Shanghai music scene? I mean, you're saying before you've met some really cool people here compared to other places that you've lived in. What do you think of the music scene?
Well, I think in China, Shanghai is the most active places, and I feel like the music here, like live shows here, are the best in China. Of course. Yeah, and people are all like amazing and really like into music.
Why is that? Is it multicultural? Like all different?
Yeah, I would say like Shanghai is pretty diverse. Like it's a pretty diverse city, and people, I feel like, I don't know, social life, you go out to bars, and compared to you go bars even to Beijing, it's so different.
Yes.
In Beijing, like it's like, oh, I don't even know what we are talking about.
That's your favorite city, right?
Thank you. You know me so well. Yes, I like the pollution, That's the best. Like, that's how I grew up.
Right.
Like, smoke the pollution, and breathe it.
The snow in November.
Yeah. Beijing. Yeah, Beijing is...
You're either a Shanghai or a Beijing person, so your choice is Shanghai?
Of course, Shanghai. I choose Beijing because of my friend, but otherwise, no. Like Shanghai. Of course, Shanghai. Yeah.
And then all my Beijing listeners have just tuned out right now.
I'm sorry, guys. I still love you. I'm just saying, okay, thank you for being understanding. Just like we mentioned culture, like different culture, and they will bring in different elements into the music like industry and different inspirations. And that's really important. And people here are all passionate about music.
Yes.
So that's really pure. That leads to people like really trying to do something about it, this industry, this thing they're passionate about. Yeah, I think that's really important. And also like, especially in Shanghai, like I actually have a singer friend in Beijing, and they sings really, really good, and they plays really good, but it's kind of like different compared to my foreigner like friends. And when I'm talking to them, it kind of make me feel like I need to change mode, even like everybody's like musicians. Like, for example, if I'm talking to Chinese musician friends, it's more like, oh, I have to think about certain ways to talk to them. But when I'm talking to foreigner musicians, it's like, oh, I can just ask. Like, be more open, like be more discoverish. I don't have to worry that much.
That's interesting. And speaking of the music scene, and not just in Shanghai, I see you quite regularly on TMS.
Oh, yeah.
And you're doing some interviews with some bigger bands around Shanghai, international bands as well.
Yeah.
How did that all come about?
Actually, I have a really good friend. You know him as well, Raydio. And we've been work together.
Who doesn't know Raydio?
All of my friends are club with Ray.
Oh, that's our song. That's our full throttle song.
I know. That's you guys. I was there. I was like, what? That's so real. Yeah. So the famous Ray. We started to work together for a while.
Yeah.
He actually have a lot of connections everywhere. He's really generous. He would just, if there's any cool events, he would just ask me, hey, do you want to go to do this with me? And of course I would say yes.
Yeah.
So once
I'm washing my hair. I can't do it today.
Yeah, I want to do like everything, but it has to be cool.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like the first time how we started it is that TMS asked him to do an interview for actually the artist called Chris James. Like his song is pretty famous especially in China, like TikTok. And so he's like, oh, since he's in China, like why not, like, you know, I bring Wynn together, you know, she's a Chinese and we can do something together probably. And I'm like, and she's like, oh, do you want to do an interview? I'm like, what interview? Like, interview a musician, blah, 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 at my Mall Life House. He's from Germany, blah, blah, blah. Like, sounds interesting. I would love to do that. And yeah, that's how I get started it. And that's our the first artist we ever like interviewed. And then one thing led to another. We started to do like Gentle Grape and a band from your city, Melbourne, like called Captives.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and they're really cool. And Total Fat, like Japanese band. And I honestly really love to interview people because it makes me feel like it inspires me. And it makes me like have more perspective to see like the venue and how like the artist, the music, and even the audience. Because I remember very vividly last time I was talking to Captives, the Australia band, and I noticed something, like, because I've been like interviewed bands for a while, so I noticed that audience will have different interactions to the different bands. And so I asked them, because they're kind of like a little bit quieter than, you know, before. So I asked them like, hey, like, do you think you guys, you know, they're doing a tour all around the world. So I'm like, do you think different countries, the audience acted different? And that's when the interesting thing came up. They said, yeah, like they actually noticed that they've been doing shows in Japan, Taiwan, and China. They said, like, especially in these Asian countries, the audience reaction is like a little bit more, how to say it, not that active. They're like, but like they're like when they were in the US or Australia, like everybody's like, hell yeah, let's get this. But in China, like in Asia, it's like people are just vibing with it.
More respectful.
No, I'm not saying every venue in China or in Japan are like that, but it's like it's still different compared to like European country or you know like the US or something. Like it's so different. So yeah, that's one thing really interests me. So like there are so many things like this like inspire me every day when I'm doing like the things. So I feel like pretty lucky to do things that I really love and get to know different people from all over the world. And
Absolutely.
yeah, having fun.
I want to know, especially, how do you prepare for like an interview like that? Like a band from Australia that's traveling the world. Do you get starstruck like when you do the interviews, and how do you prepare for it? Like,
thank you. That's a really good question. So, so usually, as I mentioned, I would do that with Raydio. We would do it together usually. So how we prepared that is that we would look up their background and try to read all the informations we can get from them, no matter it's their social media or their official accounts or their like interviews in the past, so we can know more about them. And after that, we will, based on the information we got, and came up with all this, you know, like different new questions, like what's going on with them right now, and probably, for example, some foreigner band, we would try to ask them something about China, because probably it's so different. Just like I mentioned, like with the captives, like how the audience are different, right? So sometimes it's like that, but there are also times like we're kind of familiar with the band already, and we interviewed them before. So it leads to the point where we don't even have to prepare questions. Yeah. We can just ask them like, hey, like how's it, like how you guys feeling? Came back to Shanghai again. Like how you guys feeling? Like doing this tour again? Like, oh, there's new album. It's just like so many things to talk about, and we can just go like talk about like some thing that's came up that's pretty new. So yeah, that's basically how we do it. It's pretty fun actually. Like sometimes they would surprise, like, hey, how'd you guys know about that? We're like, we prepared. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've learned doing this is that anybody that wants to praise me for what I do, the biggest celebrities, but it's the people that go, oh wow, you really did your homework. How did you know that? Yeah. Where did you find that information?
Yeah, today that's how I feel earlier. I'm like, wow, like you already know, like I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. You've done the interviews here in Shanghai, and are you going to continue that? Is that something you want to do as a career in the future? Or?
Actually, I'm thinking about that. I would definitely love to be, like do more interview or even be a journalist, like because I feel like talk to different people, like kind of like open up my world. I would say I'm a person that's pretty empathy. Yeah, so sometimes I would I would love to listen to different stories and get to know how people, like how they think differently. And that really inspires me and gives me more motivation. So yeah, of course I would think that like as something I would do, like kept on doing. But TMS, like the Mario show, we would kept on doing that if they need me to continue. Of course I would do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And switching topics now, the main reason that I wanted you on here is your modeling. And like we talked before, we had a very good conversation all about modeling. So when did you first start thinking about doing this? Were you found by somebody else, or was it a photographer, or was it someone here in Shanghai? Tell us all about how it all started.
It probably started from 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember the time specifically, but it's like I used to work in TV crew as makeup artist. And then I changed my major back to, I want to learn directing, this and that. So I work in different like department, but that doesn't matter. Like my thing is that I started to do different makeup, and I was a teenager back then actually. And that's when girls starting to do different makeup and trying to do like change their styles and find their personality. Because sometimes I feel like, I'm not saying you have to judge the look by its cover, but how a person represent themselves outside sometimes kind of like matches their personality, but kind of like have connections. So I kind of like surrounded by this environment. I have different, like I'm interested in photography, this and that. So I have different photographer friend, and I have a different model friend, actress friend. And I like to do different outfits too. So one day, just out of nowhere, I think my friend just hit me up. Like she saw my pictures, like my other friend took for me. And she's like, hey, like, do you want to do some photo shoot like for some product? I'm like, yeah, why not? So that's how I started it. I wouldn't say it's my main career, but I'm doing that more like for my own interest. Like as you can see on my social media, like all the things that I do is kind of like subculture. So it's more like in between our friends, and they're having different brands, different artists have different projects. They're like, hey, like I really like your style, like, which I like their style too. Like, do you want to be a part of it? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You said you were a makeup artist. How important is makeup when you're doing photo shooting and modeling?
How to say, like sometimes I won't even do makeup. Like last time I did a photo shoot with Indica, I didn't wear any makeup.
You know what?
Yeah.
And just me personally, I find that more attractive in a girl than someone that wears 15 layers of makeup. Just personally.
Thank you.
I think natural beauty is way more attractive to me personally.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Oh my God. Annika, did you hear that? Yeah, I feel like I'm really curious about different things. And so that's why I did different jobs before and I learned different stuff. So that also projects how I do photo shoot, like do photo shoot, how I model sometimes. And I would like to try different things. And makeup is that, I would say sometimes to me personally, I will wear like thick eyeliners or kind of like bitching face on on my pictures. It's more that my personality is kind of like, I wouldn't say push over, but kind of like too people pleasing sometimes. I would try on my makeup to make me look like, oh, I'm tough. To make people think like, oh, don't mess with me. But it's the opposite. As soon as you talk to me, like everybody says that, like, oh, like, you are so
I'll be
different.
good. Be kind to me.
Yeah, like they're like, oh, your face, like your picture is like, oh, don't punch me in the face. And when I talk to you, it's like, oh, like you're so different from your picture. I'm like, thank you. That's exactly what I wanted. Yeah, so
Is it maybe to scare the boys away from when they actually see you in person?
Well, thank you for asking that. I actually like to, not wearing any makeup to go on, not first date, but meet someone at the first time, because I want them to know this is the real me, and I want them to like have a real experiences with me. So
when you wake up with them the next day, you're not going to have 7 layers of makeup on.
Nah, nothing can, like, I feel like nowadays there's like nothing can make me like do that much makeup anymore.
Yes.
Nothing, but fewer things. Like, yeah, I feel like sometimes, just like you said, I prefer natural stuff too. So yeah.
We talked about it before, about the pressures of being a model and what they have to go through for that. So have you experienced anything like that, having to be a certain weight, having to be a certain size, height? Has that come up before in your experience?
I kind of like, this is not my main job, and I'm doing this totally like for my interest, for fun. So I won't have that trouble, but
just in general as well, like
in general, like high fashion, or my like model friends around me, I feel like, yeah, like they have to keep up with the certain like standards, and taking like judges this entire time. Like I have a model friend here, and he's actually from LA, but he was here for the medical like major, like his study university. That's pretty interesting, and master's degree, pretty like really good. And he was also doing modeling, so he has a agent company. And at the same time, like he's doing pretty well actually, like doing all high fashion stuff. But in China, like he told us that like something that's really disturbing me. People here kind of like white, like lighter skinned, have certain disturbing, standards. And that kind of really bothers certain like people. Sorry
you say that.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. When I first come here, with the girls that I see in Australia, we're at the beach. It's hot weather, so the girls have got like tan skin. And then when it comes to winter, they're all jumping in the tanning salons and just trying to get anywhere where they can keep this brown tan skin, because to us, that's a beauty that's in at the moment. I come to China, and
I can already imagine what you're gonna say. Hi guys, I'm Chinese, by the way. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm seeing all these girls with all this white, pale, like this chair over here, makeup. Yeah. And it's the total opposite of
Yeah.
what the Australian girls want to do.
Yeah.
And the extremes that the girls go to cover their skin and is crazy, absolutely ridiculous.
7 layers. Yeah, exactly. And like I remember you also mentioned that, very interesting, and the videos going viral, that how Asian and Chinese girls do like protect their skin from getting darker, like in summer, like they will wear the full like kind of like armor stuff, right?
What? But why is that? Is it a culture thing? Is it like, what I've been told is that it's more like a village thing.
Yeah.
They have the more of the darker brown skin. So if you have the whiter skin, you know, you're richer and you live in the city. And is that just a myth, or is that?
I think definitely one of the biggest reason. And also like celebrities, Chinese celebrities are all pale.
Yes.
Like the influences, like Asian, look at K-pop, right?
Yeah.
So even in China, I feel there are definitely people like, you know, Thai TV shows or Vietnam, but mainstream things are all like
Korea and Japan especially.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Not just the girls, the guys.
oh my God.
Now let's talk about the guys. I haven't seen it so much in Shanghai. Maybe it is, but in South Korea and Japan, I couldn't tell whether they were a guy or a girl. Like they were wearing more makeup than the girls. Some of these guys, and they're wearing earrings and, whew. Yeah, they're each to their own, and everyone has their own. You know, I don't judge, but
Yeah, it's just so different from
yeah, yes.
yeah.
But is that becoming more common with the younger generation?
Yeah, I think so. And also like I feel like that projects to different culture. Like guys doing, you know, like manicure or makeup, like back then probably people would automatically give them label, like saying they are certain like genre, like certain, how do I say, homophobic.
Oh yeah, homophobic. Yes.
But I feel like I don't know, to me like guys doing like manicure is kind of like attractive to me. Yeah. So like but I feel like to Japan, like K-pop, like people who's influenced by K-pop, like the way they are doing makeup probably is kind of like different. Not just like you said, like probably guys and girls. You can't even tell the differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a guy, but it
But
might
is it
be a
guy?
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, short hair and
Yeah. Pale skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But each to its own, and it's popular. It's what you see on TV, and you want to copy that to look cool and look hip, and
yeah, but thanks to them though, I feel like because of them, like now Asians are kind of like like have bigger marketing, like dating market than before, especially to the guys, right? Like I just feel like, and also that gives a lot of like topic to like things to talk about for the Asian comedians.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes I would just watch their show like about the K-pop stuff. I'm like, oh my god, that's and Asians became a trend somehow, like because of them sometimes.
When you come to Beijing and Shanghai, was it tough to leave your city with your family?
Actually, I went to Beijing from my hometown because of my job and my family's there. And but after a certain time, like because I live alone by myself, like since I was very young, not very young, but since middle high, I would say. And so when I moved to Beijing, and I never really spent that much time with my family. I just work, and I had a boyfriend at that time. We lived together. And I left Beijing because I went back to high school. Actually, I told you, like, I changed my department in TV crew from makeup to, like, directing stuff. So I went back to school for, the studying. I want to go to uni. So that's why I went back to my hometown and another city. So I actually stayed another year in between, like Shanghai and Beijing at another city, and I was actually teaching English.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
I never really talked about that much. I was teaching kids like 3 to 5 year old, and yeah, like, but at that time, after, you know, Chinese culture, like in China, if you want to go to uni, I'm sure it's really competitive in every country. But in China, I don't know if you heard about it.
Don't get me started on it.
Yeah.
I've been waving the flag for my opinions of the Chinese education ever since I've been here. I've seen it all. And then in the private schools and the international schools, the competition, like you said before, is just, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And the parents go to the absolute extreme. And the poor kids, I'll just say that you're only a kid once. And if you don't be a kid, play in the dirt, play toys, do things that you enjoy, rather than just learning 5 or 6 languages and being the top person in your grade and just study, you're going to burn out.
Yeah, for sure. For real. And international schools are better, actually, but I'm not saying like the pressure is better. I'm just saying, you know, international school, like the kids in there are, at least they have a background.
Yes.
They have their family, like they have something, at least they probably have middle class family. But like in public schools, like normal schools, like kids have to study so hard and
very hard.
Yeah, and that kind of education, I mean, it's good in a way. It gives a lot of, you know, like kids absorb a lot of information or this and that, but it also kills creativity. Like,
definitely.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like everybody's copy and paste.
Yeah.
It's just slightly different. I'm not, of course, everybody's different, have different personalities.
Bing and Google's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, I went back to school for this uni stuff, and I was trying to major in film. But the first year, I wasn't satisfied with my grade, so I decided to take another year. But at the same time, I run into the LAX was talking about. So that's when I started to open up to see more of the world, and I just started to think, why not, you know, go to schools to overseas? So I try to apply for schools in the US and try to get my visa, this and that. And so last year I went to Guangzhou. It was the serious lockdown in Shanghai at that time. I cannot come here. I cannot go to Beijing. And I just went to Guangzhou for the visa. And I got rejected twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And yeah, so I stayed there for like probably 4 months, and I also worked there because I kind of like go there. I want to go to like study at overseas all by myself, so I'm my own financial supporter. So I also have to work at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, so I also worked there, but for a while, like I'm kind of depressed after twice rejection, because you know, to Chinese, like if you rejected twice by the U.S. embassy, it's kind of hard to get any visa in the and I was in Canada, the U.S., like that area. So I was kind of depressing, blah blah, and then that's when my brother hit me up. He said, "Oh, I'm working in Shanghai recently. Like I signed this company. We're gonna cooperate for 1 year, blah blah blah. Oh, anyways, I have a place to stay. Do you want to come?" I'm like, since I'm gonna stay in China for a while, why not? And that's how I came to Shanghai. But before that, I visited here, and I was living in Beijing at that time, and I visited there with my Beijing friend. And we were when we were walking down the street, we were talking to each other like, we really want to move to Shanghai. Shanghai is so nice. Like, this is so silly, but when we walk down the street, like the cars will actually let us to go first. That's what we said. We're like, oh, like it's so different compared to Beijing. And we're like the people like, but also the thing I found out when I just got into Shanghai is that not only this part is different, also like back in Beijing, if we want to borrow bathroom, like down the street, you know, you walk to the restaurant or coffee shop, like, hey, excuse me, can I borrow the bathroom here? They will be like, yeah, why not? But in Shanghai, it's more like kind of private. Like people knows, like have more boundaries here.
Yes.
Yeah, people are more like, I feel like that's more civilized. Depends on how you see it. So, yeah, there are definitely like differences in between Beijing and Shanghai again. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, but since I ever moved to Shanghai, I just love the city more and more.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Agreed. How are you involved in the fashion industry? Is this just a hobby or
yeah,
just...
it's a hobby. It's a hobby. And it's like I mentioned earlier, like I'm really curious and I have, like, I think I have ADHD. And yeah, I actually interested in different stuff, anything that's art related.
When you do a modeling, when you do a contract or a freelance, do you pick what you wear?
It's actually kind of mutual. Like, because my style is kind of obvious. Like, some things I would choose is more, and the brand that I work with already, like, they kind of like knows what I like. Sometimes they would just give me the thing that I really wanted. So I think that's a advantage of like working in subculture circle, because you know you're like everything is really 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 obvious, and you kind of can tell like which kind of style thing, specific style you're looking for. So if, for example, like if I dye my hair, like I have a different hairstyle and with different makeup, and I had a different style of picture out, and certain brand would come to me with their specific out like costume, like, or their product, and if I like it, I would just do it. Yeah.
Would you think of doing something like that in the future, like doing your own?
My own like designs?
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people have been talking about that to me, like, oh, why don't you, you know, like do something about designing this and that. I don't know. I'm down to do that, but at the same time, I'm kind of worried. Like I would have this worry about there's already so many people doing that. And is that real? Because if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna try to do good. So is that real? The thing I want to put 100% of my time and energy to focus on right now at the moment. So yeah, I feel like someday I would try to probably start it to do something like collaboration, starting from collaboration, but yeah, not right now, I think. Right now, like I just started my music stuff, so I really need to put more effort on my vocal.
Right.
So yeah, but that's definitely something I want to do though. Sorry.
So film butt. This is interesting for me as well.
Yeah.
Love a good film. What was your interest right at the start? Like, Chinese films or?
No, never. No? I'm sorry.
What's wrong with Chinese films?
My reaction. No, actually, there are good Chinese movies, but
and then some really bad movies. Well.
The Room. So how I get really into movies is that I work in TV crew before, and that really interests me too. And when we were shooting and this whole process, you know, everything and the production, it's just everything just interests me, and it's brand new. And I was pretty young, and I suddenly just get to know different, you know, industry, because work in movies, you can also get to know different industries, because they probably would have a corporation with different theme about a different film. And yeah, that's how it really interests me, and I want to go back to school to major that and try to really do something in that industry. Even the university I applied in the US, I was trying to major in film. So
Did you find it tough studying here in China for you?
Of course. There are
modeling.
Times. Yeah, there are times like last night, I'm really, really like burned. This year, I'm kind of like being slow down, being nice to myself, and try to focus more on my mental health. So I'm not being that harsh to myself because, you know, especially 24 right now. And as a girl who lives in Shanghai by herself and doing everything by herself, sometimes I will get lost. So like this is the time I'm trying just to quote unquote find myself and slow down. So I'm not really like take any lessons right now. So I'm okay. But before, when I was, you know, preparing, like learning and preparing my visa, like everything, and apply schools, just doing that all by myself, I was really like pretty anxious. And now, even now when I look back, I can still feel that feelings in my body. But it's like, I think it's all worth it for something like you really want to do. Yeah. It's really worth it. So, yeah. And how to balance that, you know, like work while you're studying and trying to do something like, yeah, it's hard.
Social medias, where can we find you online?
My Instagram is I'm not Wynn.
And WeChat?
WeChat is not Wynn.
The last part where you tell me your top 2 or 3 favorite things of all time. I give you a question and then you just tell me as of today. So the first one is, who are your top 3 all-time favorite bands or artists?
Fortet, like, is an EDM art like musician, and he do different experimental music. And recently I listened to New Jabbies a lot, like the Japanese musician. Yeah, and rest in peace. The song that I really, really want to try, like from this artist called Shantae Ken. Yeah, she's kind of like so jazzy, chill vibe. Yeah, I would say for now.
Interesting.
Thank you. My favorite movie is called The Holy Mountain. Yeah, I actually don't know how to read the director's name. Something like Alexandro. Actually, an anime I really like. I don't watch animes anymore, but it still comes to my favorite, I would say it's actually a show, but I see it as a movie because it's so well made. It's called Mononoke. It's not Princess Mononoke. It's just a anime.
Is it Japanese?
Japanese, yeah. It's real, kind of like their traditional like movies. I'll show you later. It's really, really interesting. It's about their kind of like legend. Tell
me your top 2 or 3 places that you've been to, cities, and then 3 cities that you'd like to go to in the future.
I've been to Jeju. It's an island in Korea. And I've been to Hong Kong.
Oh, that's the island.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's really pretty and chill. Yeah, definitely like recommend to visit, especially if you're in Shanghai. Like the ticket to there is pretty cheap.
Yeah. Just across the road, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and I went to Hong Kong, and also
love Hong Kong.
Right.
I think it's very underrated.
I feel like Hong Kong is like another, like, yeah, Shanghai is the most fun city in China. I don't count. But I feel like Hong Kong is another level of fun compared to Shanghai. I'm not saying Hong Kong is the most fun place in in the world, but yeah, it's another different vibe, definitely. Especially when it comes to night, like the lights, it's just so pretty.
Yeah. And 3 that you want to go to in the future?
LA. Antarctica.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to go there since I was a teenager because I watched a documentary about a couple who traveled there and married there.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And so from that documentary, I really like always want to visit there. But I probably won't get married there though. Yeah.
Never say never.
Oh, thank you. That would be romantic.
Yeah, very romantic.
Yeah. And the third place is like Australia, because recently everybody's going there, and it's just so cool. I saw all the pictures and all the activities they're doing and all the stories you guys are telling me. I'm like, oh my God, I have to visit.
Yeah. It's a beautiful country, and I keep
Of course.
talking about it all the time, but it's so true. I mean, like I said, I go to Bali,
Yeah.
and everybody, like all the my European friends say how cool it is, and it's like, have you been to Australia?
No.
No. But I've been to Bali, and Bali's the best place in the world. It's like,
wait. I'm sorry. Yeah. And then, have you ever been to Bali? Oh my God.
I said we've got better beaches, our food's better, just everything is just. I mean, Bali's great. Don't get me wrong. It's a great place, and their culture is amazing. And all right, last question: who's your greatest inspiration / hero, and why?
I want to say kind of cliche one. I would say my dad. Yeah.
I haven't spoken about your mum or dad.
Yeah. My mom lives in Beijing right now, and my dad passed away when I was 11. And
sorry.
It's okay. It's like normally like I didn't even cry on his funeral, but I feel like it's because I wonder why before, because I was really young. I was 11, and my father was the one that really adores me. I feel like it's probably because I need to talk about this to a therapist. But for now, I figure myself. I ask myself. I feel like it's probably the love he gave to me before was too much, to the point where I kind of like sometimes I feel like I'm guarding like a side of me for him.
You took it for granted?
No, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm guarding a side of me for him. Like sometimes staying, try my best to be nice to people and be as, I wouldn't say innocent, but trying to stay positive and just a lot of things. Like trying to like protect the little girl that he wanted, like he raised.
Yes.
Yeah, because the world changes so fast.
Was he very traditional?
Yeah, he was really traditional. But how to say, he's really, really traditional, like a Chinese parent, and I can't sleep over to my friends. I can't eat junk food, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but it's true, though. Like, it's understandable, because if I have kids, I probably want them to stay away from junk food, too, right? Sometimes. Not, like, took all the fun from them, but, yeah.
Let's, jumping ahead, when you, or if you ever have kids yourself, are you going to be like your mum and dad?
No, not exactly. Probably there are times I can't help myself projecting how my parents
you have to. You have to set a standard, right?
Yeah, of course. But I will try to be an open-minded.
Well, now that you're going to be traveling all over the world, you'll see different cultures, and you'll understand that there's other ways to go about that. So
yeah, of course. Not Chinese, not gonna raise them here. So.
That's interesting, but
yeah,
you're a native. I can leave anytime I want, but that's interesting for you to say that hear that as well.
Competitiveness, and I would think it's more like, for example, this is not the best thing to say, but if my kid has other, like, how to say, citizenship outside of China. And when they come back, I'm not saying all the countries, but for example, Europeans or the US, is easier for them. Life is so much easier for them.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody wants to give their children the best, right? So I kind of want, if I can, do that, like, why not? Right?
Yeah.
That's the most reality one reason Like since we talk about, like the cost of living, this and that, but the most important thing is that in China is too limited. Like, I mean, how they perceive the world is like, except you're homeschooled from some really, really like private, like high class stuff, or international schools is a little bit better, but it's too limited for a person, I think, to grow up.
All right. I think that's a good way to end the podcast.
Yeah.
Wen, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Craig.
Good luck. All the best.
You.
You've got a lot of avenues that you can go forward into, like modeling, in your interviewing. All the best. Do what makes you happy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
大家好, I'm Bala from Bala Simple Chinese School. If you are a beginner, intermediate, advanced, looking for HSK study, business Chinese, or simply want to improve your everyday communication, I'm the teacher for you. Come and join me for a free travel class at Bala Simple Chinese School.